Welcome to Product-Led Growth Leaders, where we learn about the bold path of building digital products that sell themselves. Let's listen to product leaders who can give us a glimpse into the innovative thinking process. Showcasing and celebrating these awesome folks, I'm your host, UX and product design veteran, Thomas Watkins. Welcome to Product-Led Growth Leaders. We have a cool guest on the show today. It's Nick Jain. He has an extensive background in the finance sector. He's worked at a lot of different companies, and he today finds himself as CEO of IdeaScale's. So we're going to hear all about that. Nick, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Thomas, and for the wonderful intro.
Absolutely. Let's jump right in. Let's talk about the technology. Before we get into the technology that you're building, ground us first in the problem that you're solving. So without solutions like what you're offering, what are people doing and trying to do and going through while they're doing it?
Sure. So think of any large organization. It's almost like a factory. It's been set up to do one thing really well. This could be the US Post Office, could be Comcast, whatever, right? They're like a factory. They keep doing one thing really well, and they're really good at it. But how do they adapt and innovate to getting better to do something different tomorrow? Their entire org structure acts against the desire to innovate. That's the problem.
Okay, so that's an excellent problem. We run across that constantly.
It's not a great problem.
It's not really an excellent problem, but yes, excellent example of a problem. Okay, so yes, okay, that is a good. So any large organization, they have their processes, and they just run totally different from small organizations, and they've got so much built up, and they're not agile. They're notorious for not being able to adopt new solutions. So normally you would think about solving this with a bunch of process stuff that you hire some new folks and they are going to tell you how you should reshape your organization and do things different. But you're solving it somehow with technology. So how does that come together?
Sure. So our basic idea is the reason large organizations don't innovate is because all the great ideas are really coming from a very small subset of people, the CEO and his or her close colleagues. It's 10 people sitting in a conference room. Almost nobody else matters in any large organization. And yet, a large organization may have thousands or hundreds of thousands of employees or customers, members of their ecosystem that have great ideas. So we allow you to tap into that broader human capital, the ideas of the broader crowd that supports your organization, get all of their ideas, figure out which ideas are terrible and which ideas are great, and turn only the best ideas, regardless of where they come from, whether they come from a junior person, whether they come from somebody on the other side of the world, somebody who doesn't speak English, and turn those ideas into reality.
Okay, and there's a lot of reasons why large companies should be thinking about this, right? So one is just an existential problem of you just might not be around forever or for very long if you're not adapting, evolving. But a lot of organizations will just say, hey, we're making a lot of money. In terms of them realizing that it's a problem, there's some denial there probably in order to even get someone to the mindset where they say this is a problem that even needs to be addressed.
Sure, you're absolutely right. But I'll give two kind of reasons why that's not good enough. Number one, everyone's making money till they aren't. A classic example of that is Intel happening right now. Intel was in every single computer for the last 40 years. Intel inside is a logo almost everybody's aware of. And yet, look, they're having to lay off people because they just got overtaken. They did not stay innovative in an industry that demands innovation. And the broader lesson is, look, if you're not innovating, remember, someone out there is. Your competitors don't stop innovating just because you decided you're rich.
So then that's exactly true. Now, does this require, in your experience, Nick, that the CEO or the company, we're going to get into the tool and some of the details about you and your team in a few minutes here. How does it first require the leadership to have an innovative mindset? Do they already have to decide, because you're not pulling them into and convincing them, so that they obviously have to be like, you know what, we could do better and we want to be innovative. So does it require innovative and ambitious people to even take this step?
The short answer is yes, right? An organization that intentionally, where the CEO or the board says, we're not going to do anything different because this is the way we've always been run, we can't change that. But once they are open to the idea of being better, open to the idea that great ideas don't have to come from the C-suite, but they can come from anywhere, that's when that door opens, organizations like ours are really effective at helping them get better really fast.
Excellent. Okay, so now let's dive into idea scale. So I could tell from the name idea, and then somehow you're scaling it. Walk us through when someone engages with the product, what are they getting into? What is it doing?
Sure. So we are like the CRM for ideas. Imagine someone logging into a CRM and putting on their idea on there, almost like a social network. And then other people around that organization who might be on the other side of the world, who may have different language skills, different departments. They're voting your ideas up or down, commenting on them, refining them. And as the good, that causes the good ideas to float to the top and the bad ideas to sink. No different than in a social network, the best ideas go viral and the worst ideas just fall off your feed. Imagine that concept, except for practical ideas that apply to your organization from people who care about your organization.
Is this a internal tool or is it for the customer community as well?
You can set it up however you want. So you can, if you have a lot of private data, you can make it only to your entire employee base or even a small team within your organization, or you can go big and make it available to anyone in the world. So practical example is we're a tech company. We do some sensitive things that we don't want to make public immediately, like our secret roadmaps. That community may only be available to my employees, but then we also run a broader global version of IdeaScale where anyone can contribute ideas to how I make my software better. And we see people from we see customers, we see students, we see employees, everyone contributing their ideas on how they can make IdeaScale better.
Excellent. So this sounds awesome. And I've seen some tools that do this kind of thing years ago working for enterprise companies. And then let's find a tool where we can talk to our clients and have them tell us what they need to do and then rank them. And then some of the times we would run into the problem of it became like a backlog management thing of which things are we going to plug into Jira. And sometimes it was difficult for the truly innovative things to rise to the surface to where we say, yes, that's an idea. That's something that's different from what we're doing today. And that's something that's worth pursuing. Are there any things that companies can do to manage that to make sure it's being used in a maximally open-minded, innovative way and not just becoming a backlog tool?
Yeah, so the backlog tool, like thankfully, the end of our process is where you plug into Jira or Monday or Asana or whatever your project management tool is. That I would say the biggest thing is realize the power of markets. There's this entire concept in financial theory that says in a well-run capital market, this could be for stocks, this could be ideas for elections, the best ideas rise to the top. This is the entire theory of prediction markets. As it applies to us, it's like rather than someone senior sitting there and saying, I like this idea, I dislike that idea is garbage, let the ideas automatically float to the top. And that's because the market is voting. Your customers, your employees, the people who know a lot more than any 10 smart people sitting in a room, they're letting the best ideas rise to the top. So you don't have a backlog. Just do whatever the great ideas are and ignore the rest. The market is deciding for you.
This is awesome. So, do you have PLG goals? The goal of having your product becoming the obvious choice in your space. Of course, you get IdeaScale for this. Duh, let's do this. Is that a goal that you have?
100%. So when I joined, we explicitly moved to a product-led growth structure because I'm a big believer that you can't force somebody to buy your product. It actually has to create value for them. In the context of IdeaScale, there's three principles that apply. Number one, the quality of the product. People around here often regularly hear me say, I don't want to sell a buggy product. So our product, we invest a lot of time, resource, effort, making sure you don't encounter bugs, way more than the average software company does. So that's number one, no bugs, it should just work. Number two is ease of use. This is not software, whether you're an admin or an end user, that takes half an hour or weeks to set up. You can get going in our software within minutes. That's the goal. And that's true whether you're a new company adopting it or a new user setting up an account. And then thirdly is, how does it create value? We have a very clear value proposition, which is if you believe in the idea marketplace, in the value of an idea meritocracy, then our software is the easiest, simplest, most effective way to achieve that really quickly within your organization. And that's really focused on the product. We obviously wrap around service around it, but the product is very much the core of why we exist as an organization, why our customers come to us.
Now, how do you ensure that your product design, as you said, that the usability is really important there? How do you make sure that you're staying on top of the evolving needs of your clients? I think you touched on it a little bit there because you're constantly listening to your clients. Is it a challenge, though, having the things you need to do and keeping track of a vision that is a North Star for you?
Sure. So our vision is constant. We want to be the innovation operating system for our customers who are chief innovation officers of large companies. The vision is constant. The needs evolve over time in two ways, right? The role of a chief innovation officer may change today versus 5 years from now to 10 years from now. We'll evolve with that. More tactically, though, lots of ideas come. The way we tactically adapt on a day-to-day basis is two ways. Number one, we use our own software. So, like when I find something bad about my software, I make a comment, my employees make a comment, and we go fix it. This could be a bug, or hey, I just don't like that button, it's too small. And then our customers give us that feedback either through our software or through our account managers, and we listen to it. When a customer tells us we don't like something, we go fix it right away or go improve upon it.
I love the term that you use, an innovation operation system. Is that the
operating system, the innovation
operating
system.
Okay, yeah, so an innovating OS. And is that one of the target markets, the chief innovation officer, where they're, or the product managers, or is it a number of target
Sure.
personas?
We target three different types of people. Number one is innovation or R&D departments, groups that are explicitly set up to help move their organization into the future and develop new products, new ideas, whatever. Number two is product teams. So people who are really focused on just figuring out what the next product is. For example, one of the largest fast food companies in the world used our product to figure out what their new menu item should be. And number three is HR departments, because turns out a secondary benefit of our software is it gets people engaged. Your employees care a lot more about you, and you don't lose them as much when they realize their ideas matter, even if they're a junior person who just joined your company. They matter, and that retains employees a lot better.
Now, you talked about how you are constantly in touch with your customers. How much does data analytics play a role in that? Have you gotten a chance, or is that a goal to have that you're extracting usage data from people using the software and analyzing that with a data science? Or is it more the qualitative that you're checking in, that you're seeing people's comments and feedback?
The answer is both. So I'm trained as a mathematician. I'm a big believer that data and numbers, if you can't measure it, it doesn't exist. And that applies to both qualitative and quantitative measurements. So we do a bunch of quantitative measurements such as DAUs, what features being used, product analytics, all the data about what we should add more of and remove more of. But then there's also the qualitative overlay coming from all our channels, whether it be from our salespeople, whether it be from our product managers, whether it be from our account managers saying, hey, here's what the customers are qualitatively saying about your product. And sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad, but we certainly take into account, marry it with the quantitative data, and make both tactical and strategic changes to our product.
Excellent. So let's talk about the culture of innovation that you're encouraging. You're building a product that encourages cultures of innovation and enables this. And I imagine that IdeaScale probably has a culture of innovation as well. So number one, do you feel that you have a culture of innovation in your company? And if that's the case, what do you do as a leader to encourage that as something that you want to be in the DNA of your company?
Sure. So I would say yes, IdeaScale does have a strong culture of innovation. And I'll give an example. As I said before, we use our own software. And so I'll submit my own ideas for the software. Junior engineers, junior product managers, marketing, people from all over the company submit their ideas. And my ideas sometimes get downvoted down to the bottom. And the best ideas from some junior employees sitting on the other side of the world rise to the top. And that's okay. That's the idea that gets done. So the CEO's idea gets trashed and the best ideas win. And that's how innovation happens, that you judge the merit of ideas, not the merit of the people or the seniority of the people submitting the ideas or the people who are loudest within an organization. I can be very loud, but that doesn't mean I'm necessarily always right. I'd like to believe I'm right. So I think that's the first half of your question on do we think we're innovative? I think that's you. And to answer the back half of your question, I think that's a really good metric to assess whether an organization is innovative, whether senior people can let go of their egos and let good ideas rise to the top. And you can measure that both quantitatively and qualitatively. If people's voices aren't heard, they're not going to pipe up about their good ideas.
Do you find any pushback from that? You opened up by talking about how there is a need for the company who decides to go with this kind of solution, that they have to already be thinking a little bit forward. But we've probably all worked at big organizations that they're resistant to that kind of stuff and might even find the introduction of some that kind of software and community scary. They might something like what you just said. Oh, you mean some junior person can get their ideas upvoted, and who knows, they might have upvoting campaigns, and they might be, I'll lose control. And sometimes these they might be afraid of losing control. So is that a challenge at all with implementing a successful engagement?
It absolutely is, right? It's incredibly humbling, whether for me or for any other executive, to have their idea to lose a little bit of control. But there's two things I'll say. Number one is, remember, going back to what I said earlier in the call, if you're not innovating, someone else out there is, and innovation is fundamentally out of control. Would you rather this innovation happen in your organization where you are still the CEO of the company or an executive, or happen at a competitor across the street? And when they innovate faster than you do, you're gone, right? Either your company's gone or you're gone because your board will hire the CEO from across the street. So there's both a positive and a negative way to look at it. The negative way is the paranoid way, which is if you're not innovating, your competitors certainly are. The second way is, and more positively, don't you want to be the cool innovator? Don't you want your organization to be coming up with the great ideas? I certainly do in our organization.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, is it all software, or do you do services that fill in with this? Are you completely software, or is it?
We're like 95% software. The other 5% is just really helping run training sessions for how to get people to do the more qualitative, innovative thinking and get senior
Right.
leadership buy-in. But really, we're almost exclusively a software company.
Excellent. So thinking about innovation and thinking about how an innovative product moves forward you might think of them as strategic moves that you make along the way. Can you think of any strategic moves that you have had to make in the history of your company where you could be as specific or vague as you like, but where you could have, it's a fork in the road, where you could have gone one way and then you decide to go another way, and then you're rewarded for, you know what, that was the right decision to take us in this direction?
Sure. So I have an example specifically from how we approached marketing. And I'll give a marketing example. So one of the things we were really focused on for marketing was the traditional stuff: pay for ads. You do your Google, you do your LinkedIn advertising. That's really expensive, and you're basically paying to try and get clicks. The unfortunate thing is all your competitors are doing the exact same thing. So it's a race to the bottom where Google and Facebook and LinkedIn make a bunch of money off us. That's why they're trillion-dollar companies. We took a big risk and said, we're just going to shut all that off, and we're going to focus on really high quality content marketing. And by content marketing, if you go to our blog on innovation, we are probably the leading source of good innovation content on the planet. In fact, if you search for innovation related stuff anywhere in the world in any language, Google typically ranks us within the top three, not because we gamed the algorithm, but because Google's algorithm realized we actually just put out great content. So people are coming to us now, not because we're paying for sponsored ads or anything like that. In fact, we spent $0 on Google and LinkedIn last month and for many months before. But I've got 10 times the web traffic of my competitors combined. And that's just because we are providing really good content. Whether or not you buy my software, irrespective of that, I have the best innovation content on the planet, full stop.
Excellent. So that was the strategy that you went with. So in other words, you went out to become a leader in the space, a thought leader in where your company is. So if somebody's browsing around the web, they're an executive and they're trying to find, okay, how can we be more innovative? How can we get on top? They're going to come across your articles if they look enough.
100%.
And then that's what opens the door for
And by the way,
having a
if they
relationship.
don't want to buy my software and they're just there reading, great. It costs me nothing, and I actually made the world a better place, which is a core part of our mission, right? We just wanted the world to be more innovative, and our clients, we'd obviously love if they bought our software, but even if they didn't, we made the world a better place by making the innovation community smarter along the way.
And that sounds like part of your philosophy. Is part of your philosophy that adding value and kind of opening with and leading with the value is part of what you do?
Yeah, any organization, whatever you're doing, whether you're a government, whether you're a nonprofit, whether you're a private sector, your organization has to create value for the world. As a private sector company, you have to recapture some of that value for yourself so you can pay your employees, you can pay your shareholders. But a core mission of any organization, no matter what you do, has to be to create value. And that's certainly part of our mission for our innovation part of the world.
Now, when someone gets started with IdeaScale, is it very plug and play yet today? I know a lot of times with startups, there's a holy grail to get to the point where someone can just go to the website. I want to try this for free. I want to download it. I want to link my stuff up with it, integrate with it. Where are you on that scale of being really ready to be plug and play?
So we've been around about 15 years. We've been a real business for a long time now. We are on the extreme scale. You can go to ideascale.com, click get started free, and you will be set up and running with an IdeaScale community in sub 3 minutes. I think our target is 2 minutes, and we're at like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Um, uh, if you're an organization less than 100 people, our software is entirely free. It's not just a free trial, it's just entirely free. We, again, want to support the innovation community. Obviously, we hope that once you become a large, more complex organization or you move to one, then we're your first call.
Awesome. I think a lot of people will hear this and be thinking about it who are product managers and stuff. IdeaScale. And then let's end with what's your promise to your users that when they start working with IdeaScale, what can they expect?
And they can expect that we really care about selling a good and building and selling a good product, right? When something goes wrong, I'm personally involved in fixing it. There was a customer who had made some criticisms of our accessibility, and I personally, day by day, shepherded both our engineering and product team, gave them updates. Not because that particular customer was so important, but because it's the right thing to do to show that we really care about having a high quality product here. I care.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that is ideascale.com. And Nick, where can people find you?
Sure.
LinkedIn.
The two best ways to find me are on LinkedIn, Nick Jain. I respond to 100% of messages there, so feel free to message me. Or alternatively, they can email me at nick.jain@ideascale.com.
Nice. Nick Jain. Awesome for having you on the show today. Thanks for being
Thank you
here.
so much for having me, Thomas.
Thank you for tuning in. Join us next time on Product Led Growth Leaders. Take care.